Let me say again that I am Baronos Calpurnia Fortunata, they, he, and welcome to self-care doing DEIB work, specifically in an SCA context. Um, because it's different doing DEIB work within the hobby that we do. The SCA is very peculiar in a lot of ways. We have very strange operating guidelines. We have this whole game side, play side of what we do, which is the majority of how we operate. Like, yes, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, but we are a game at the same time. We're a historical game. I know some people hesitate to call us a LARP. Depends on how persona you are, I suppose. But at the same time, all of us, if you're here, you obviously care very deeply about the SCA. I do. Like I said, I've been in for about almost 20 years, and I've seen the leaps and bounds that we've made in how we handle DEIB and how we handle things like missing stairs and, you know, racism and cultural appropriation. And there's so many things that we have started to address and that we are working to address. And it gets tiring. It gets tiring. It gets tiring doing DEIB work, but it also gets tiring doing work in an SCA context. I am I'm a protege. I have worked fairly consistently my entire time in the SCA. I've been a kingdom officer, I've been a local officer, I'm now a deputy corporate officer. Um Service is what I do in the SCA. And specifically, I have gotten more and more into doing DEIB focused service. And it gets tiring. It gets really exhausting fighting the battles that we're fighting and trying to do it while making sure the game is still a place that we want to enjoy. I mean, yes, doing DEIB work is going to make the game more enjoyable for everybody, but we're also still navigating crown tournaments and art sci and events and everything that makes the SCA the SCA. So this is just kind of my ways to take care of yourself. And I don't mean bubble baths and plushies, even though I do have a plushie friend here with me. This is Fish. We love Fish. They are very cuddly. Fish is also they, them. Um, Long story, don't ask. Number one takeaway from this class, I am a big dork. That is, there you go. So, um, the first thing I want to talk about is saying no. And that feels like it's common sense, except I am a recovering people pleaser. Saying no is really, really hard for me. And I know it's hard for a lot of other people too. It is because we want to do everything, right? We want to not just in DEIB context, but also in an SCA context. And helium hand is a thing, right? And being able to say no is really powerful because sometimes you're tired and sometimes you're sick or something else has come up or you're a million other things. Saying no is really, really important because sometimes saying yes is going to be a detriment to yourself. And if you say yes, you're going to wear yourself sick. You know, I have I've been that person where, hey, can you help me with this? Of course I can. And I end up falling out because it's 100 degrees and I'm disabled and I tried to move a 150-pound tent by myself. Obviously, that's not a DEIB thing, but it's that same sort of concept, right? That we can't do everything ourselves. And sometimes we have circumstances that don't allow us to continue to do a particular activity, or we can't go volunteer at a particular thing. It is okay to say no. But by that same measure, we also need to respect other people's no's. And I feel like that is something else that we tend to forget, right? That we really, really want to do this thing and we want to get people's support and we want to make this big thing happen. And so we call up the people we know and we say, hey, come help me with so and so or whatever. And it's no, I can't. I'm sick or I'm tired or whatever the circumstance. And I feel like we sometimes forget to honor other people's no's. And we all have the circumstances, right? And we all need grace sometimes to allow ourselves to take the time and go, no, I'm going to put this thing down for right now. And I'm going to focus on my own health and my own well-being. I really, really, really want to do this thing and I can't. And that's okay. So being aware of your own circumstances and when it's okay to say no and it's always okay to say no. It could just be, I really don't feel like this today. Like I can't. I'm tired. That's okay. Like that is 100% okay. So, rule number 1, it is okay to say no. Everybody good so far? You're also quiet and lovely. Thumbs up for good. Um,
I'm just
so
also
related to
eating
that
and I don't
are
want to eat on camera.
oh, you're fine. Oh, and you're totally right. Internalized ableism is absolutely a thing. I am disabled. I fought cancer. Um have multiple um chronic fatigue issues, chronic illness issues. And I always feel like I should be able to do more. Why is logging onto Facebook hard for me today? Why, and the struggle is real with the internalized, but why can't I? But why is this hard? Like, so thank you for mentioning that. That is very, very true. So to go along with that, I have two other side tangent points. One, set boundaries and reinforce them. So yes, it's okay to say no, but it's also okay to say, don't call me after 8 p.m. Don't call me on Sundays. Sundays are my no SCA day. They're my no, you know, this is my family day. Or no, I'm not going to these events because I have another thing that I'm doing. And don't, and again, I know this is hard, a habitual people pleaser, but set boundaries for yourself of when you want to work on stuff and when you want to, take time for yourself, because taking time for yourself is really important. You can't give everything you have to the SCA or to anything.
So like a
Yes,
yes,
Decky.
like a yes and or a yes but situation. Like
What
where
do you
you
mean?
say like I can do this thing, but here are my boundaries. Like yes and.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like that is totally a thing of, sure, I'll help you with this, but I can only give you X amount of time for it, or I can only work on it on these days, or that is totally a thing, you know. And it's all about what you are the most comfortable with. Like if you can work on SCA stuff every day of the week and that's your entire thing. Like, sure, but make sure that you're setting time for yourself, and that your real life comes first. Real life always comes first, and that is also something I struggle with sometimes, of the getting angry at the real life stuff because no, I want to go do the SCA thing. So, and part of that is too picking your battles, right? Um Nobody can do everything. And I know we all, at least most of us, want to be able to do everything, right? And this is really, really true on, and especially on the DEIB level. We can't fight everything all at once, all of us. It's, yes, we want to solve all the problems, right? And we want to make everything immediately better for everyone. And in an ideal world, that'd be amazing, right? But there's so many things that we need to work on, right? Racism and religious tolerance and classism in the SCA and making things safer for queer people, and we've got all of these things that we're trying to do all at once. And each of us is just one person, right? So pick your battles. Focus on the things that you know you can affect, and yes, and work on the other things too when you can, but it's okay to focus, as long as we're being cognizant of, yes, these, we're working on these other things too, but that group has it, and this isn't necessarily the best place for my energy right now. Maybe I'm better served over here. So hold on, I'm reading comments.
Yeah, people in the chat are Kira was saying my pelican has always taught us that it's okay to say no, but it's can also help to say no, but here is a resource. And in Kira's example, no, but here is in-person insert person resource here that may be able to help. Which is very good
Oh,
advice.
absolutely. That is absolutely true. And as a protege, one of the things that that's really been hammered into me is delegation, and knowing where to ask people if you don't know the answers. So that's very true in any kind of SCA work, but also in doing the DEIB stuff, of no, but here's a resource. Let me get you in contact with this person who can help you. So, and that's
Mhm.
something that, like, as a corporate, as one of the DEIB officers, is something that I want to help people with, of being a resource and being able to connect people to the right people. So that's a very, very good skill to have.
And then Marie
Absolutely.
gave us the important reminder that they learned as a royal retainer that you can't take care of anyone if you don't take care of yourself first, which is very true.
Oh, absolutely. And see, I hate the phrase "you can't pour from an empty cup," because the cup's never really empty, right? Like, it's empty, but there's air in it. So are you pouring air or are you pouring substance? Like, and it's that whole, I need to take time for myself to recharge, and put tea in the cup rather than air in the cup, or whatever. But it's true. I so personal anecdote, my health is garbage, right? And my health has been particularly garbage over the last year. And I missed 3 of our 4 Kingdom events because I was in the hospital each time. Um, Somehow all of my hospital visits lined up to Kingdom events, and I was very salty about this. But I had to leave an event. I didn't want to, but my friends basically dragged me out of there because they're like, you can't do this if you're falling down sick, honey. Like, this isn't a thing you can do." And please, I don't want anyone to ever go to my extreme of you know, going to the hospital from an event or being that sick. But it's too hot out, or it's too, and I know we're kind of talking about general self-care with the SCA, but a lot this is all very relevant to DEIB stuff too, because this is it's 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 a marathon, not a sprint. You know, we have to we're going to be working on this for probably quite a while because the way the world is. Again, we're not going to make anything better overnight as much as we might want to. But, I can't work on this accessibility list if I'm sick or I'm tired or I'm just too stressed, because DEIB work is really stressful. This is not an easy it's not easy in any arena, but within the SCA, when we're having to work within these particular confines of corpora and kingdom law, and we have such loopholes we have to go through to get anything done, and it it's tiring. It's exhausting because we want it to be better, right? So it's pacing ourselves and water bearing for the soul sort of thing, right? So let me pull up my notes. I wrote things down. Um, oh, big thing. Big thing I have found. Have a trusted space where you can vent about things. And again, this is something that I feel like is really important just in an SCA context, but also in a DEIB work context of having someone that you can go to that you can vent at and isn't going to walk away with your conversation. Yes, Ducky?
Oh, I think I was also going to talk a little bit about that in my point, but the larger point was like we were talking about like physical generalities, but we also have to remember, and I think it's important to remember and respect when we've mentally hit a block too. That has like if you've been doing all this work for so long and you just haven't seen enough change, it's okay to say, I don't want to come back until I see this X goal met or something like that. Like, or I don't want to go to this event because I know XYZ people will be at this event and that will be difficult for me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That is, we've had Trimaris has had a problem with some broken stair crowns occasionally, within our history. And there have been times when we haven't been able to do anything about it, and folks have just been like, well, 6-month vacation, and I'm gonna work on things outside of going to events or going to meetings. That is absolutely valid. It is okay. It is definitely okay to step back and say, I'm gonna let somebody else handle this for a while, and I'm gonna wait until I can see this.
Yeah, and just
That's
having that outside person to vent to, like you were talking about, and just that I tend to make sure that it's just somebody outside of the SCA because some people inside of the SCA will walk away with that conversation, as you mentioned.
absolutely, absolutely. And I kind of, I know personally I have people outside the SCA I can vent to, and I have one or two people within the SCA that I can vent to, because I feel like
Margaret
there's a
just has a
level
question now.
of, I don't
Um,
like.
Margaret has a question about what a broken stair rain is because they're new.
Oh, um, so a broken stair is a person in the community who, I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this.
Well,
Um,
it's so like remember when you're walking up a set of stairs, the way that the place the phrasing comes from is like if you're walking up a set of stairs and you know one's kind of like loose and you could potentially fall through it or it could potentially harm you, and you go, hey, just don't step on that stair. It's fine. They're there. I'll fix it later. Uh, or it's broken. Like you can see there's a crack in the stair. It's not going to support anybody's weight. It's just going to fall through. And you just go, no, it's fine. I'll fix it later. And we don't ever actually address that broken stair. We just keep telling everybody to go around it. And it's
Thank you.
dangerous people or people
They,
who are
it's
upholding.
it's the person that you tell newcomers to stay away from. It's the, hey, maybe don't be alone with Duke so and so because he gets a little too handsy with young newcomer girls. People like that we can't do anything about them. We'll get around to them eventually, but and we've had a couple of crowns like that where, because of the way the SCA is, um people win crown. That is a thing that happens. And sometimes those people kind of suck. Sorry, they do. And people take 6 months off because they don't want to play well that person's crown. It kind of happens. So, but no, having trusted people to vent to that aren't gonna walk away with your secrets or whatever you tell them, because it may not be secret, right? It just may be, man, we're working on this and I'm freaking exhausted and I need to rant at somebody. And I feel like having somebody in the SCA to rant to vent to can be good, simply because I feel like non-SCA people don't always get everything that we're talking about. Like, one of my people is my partner, but he doesn't play. So I'll vent to things and he'll be like, absolutely, honey, that totally sucks. And I'm like, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
I only recommend outside because sometimes bad gas travels fast in a small town. And that conversation walking away could mean that that person finds out that you had a problem with them before you even had the opportunity to go talk to them about that problem.
Oh no, I 100%, I 1000% understand. I've been in situations like that. But like, for me, my vent person in the SCA is my pelican, right? Because like, she's my best friend. I know she's not gonna I trust her, right? I know she's not gonna walk away with whatever I tell her. Um, she's the one I vent to about, protege stuff and everything. Um, but having whoever they are, in or out of the SCA, just having somebody that you can talk to about this stuff and who will just listen to you and listen to the frustration, it's really helpful, because keeping all this bottled up can suck, right? And not feeling like we're heard and not feeling like our frustrations are being heard. It can it can take a toll on us and it can make things harder. So, um something else that kind of goes along with that is, and this was a really hard lesson for me, because again, I am a habitual people pleaser. Not everybody is going to like us because we're doing this. Um, and that kind of sucks. Like I said, I like people to like me. That is a thing. I don't like it when people don't like me. I know it's weird, but the people pleaser brain says, "Oh no, if people don't like me, I have obviously done something horribly, horribly wrong." But there are people who are super opposed to what we're doing. And those could be people that we like sometimes. You know, down here in Trimaris, we're a very small kingdom. Everybody knows everybody, right? Um, so there are people in the SCA who I am friendly with. I'm not going to say friends with, but that I can work with in an SCA context, and that I've had to do art side with, or I've had to run an event with, or they happen to be crown or whatever, and they are very opposed to what we're doing for whatever reason, and we're going to piss people off sometimes. and we're gonna people might use that for reasons to go out of their way to hurt us or to deny us things, you know. This crown is super conservative and we're doing DEIB work, and that means we're not going to get any awards for 6 months or a year or whatever. They're going to spread rumors about us, they're going to attack us on Facebook, they're going to do whatever. That's going to happen. um and it really sucks, right? Like, especially when we're just trying to make things better for other people. And it sucks in the real world too, right? My parents are really conservative, and I can't talk to them about any of the DEIB stuff that I do because it turns into ranting about whatever. But just acknowledging that we can't please everybody doing that, and sometimes we might piss off people that we like, and sometimes we, got any advice on how to handle that feeling of rejection when people object to our DEIB work? Um, Not really, because I really struggle with it. It is something that sucks for me, right? Um, really just
Mia has her hand raised when you finish that thought.
yeah. For me, with when it's been this kind of situation, I look at the people who are on my side, right? Um, and some of the best people I know, not just in the SCA, but as human beings, are on our side, right? They're the ones who, you know, these are the people who genuinely are trying to lift everybody up and genuinely trying to be good people. And they're the ones who are supporting us. And I take comfort in that those are my friends and that those are the people who are helping us. And sometimes it really sucks, you know? Sometimes it you do have people who you thought you liked and you thought you respected who are suddenly going out of their way to attack you because you're doing DEIB stuff. And honestly, that sucks. Hug a friend, hug your cats, hug your fluffy animals, hug fish. Just, take comfort in the people that you do have that are on your side. Is my best advice, honestly. Yes, Mia.
Well, I actually that's exactly what I was going to say. Honestly, is surround yourself, know who your allies are. Find your allies, stick close to them. It's one of the fastest ways to get over that feeling like you're railing at the wind, knowing you can't change the wind. But how do you work around that? And the best way that I have found to do that is to surround myself by people who are going to support those views and those ideas. And it can be really hard, especially as you were saying, especially in Trimaris. I left Trimaris for a reason. I've
Yeah.
left kingdoms because of this stuff before, and it's horrible, and we do what we can. But surrounding yourself and finding those communities and those pockets that are going to support you will help you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that, and kind of a side tangent off of that, um, and another point that I want to make is learn who the allies are in your kingdom and in your local group. Um, Learn who the pro DEIB peers are, the pro DEIB crowns, the pro DEIB local baronesses. Learn who, and especially if you're newer, especially if you are a newer person coming to this table as somebody from a marginalized community, as somebody from a please give me a second, I'm gonna wipe my nose. As somebody from, if you're new, if you are interested in doing DEIB work, if this is something that you want to do, find out who your allies are in the SCA. And I hate that this is necessary, right? Because everybody in the SCA should have a voice. But the reality of it is that's not necessarily how our game always functions, right? Like, if you're new, you may not know who to go to, and you may not feel like you have a voice. Peer fear is real. And but learning who those people are, learning who your allies are, who you can go to if you have a problem with a anti-DEIB peer who's harassing you, and you don't feel like you can go to your seneschal, or you don't feel like you can go to whoever. Find out who your allies are. And most of them are very, very vocal. Like, I know anybody in this room, if they came to me and said, "Hey, somebody is harassing me, like, I just need someone to," I would 100% stand up and go, "Hey, leave." Like, I will get in people's faces, I don't care. Um, but knowing who, and knowing, and if you're a protege, or if you're a squire, or you're aspiring for peerage of some sort, knowing who your allies are in those arenas, like, it could just be really, really helpful to have that community around you. Yes, Ducky.
So like this is, I think, the other thing that I wanted to just like interject from like to tell you, that like long-term perspective, because I've had to deal with this over like the course of my whole life, right? Is literally just retraining your mind that somebody may not be there yet. That rejection is temporary. It very well could be temporary. And I go back to Gazwenta a lot with just the idea of like us in two different canoes going down this river of life. If I yell out and you don't need that help right now, that you could still need that help later, right?
Absolutely.
And so that rejection could just very well be temporary, and just retraining your mind um about why that rejection is coming, and like it kind of softens the blow. It doesn't feel so hurt. It's more just like, well, they're not ready. Like they're not in a place to hear it. And it helps soften the blow on your end too. It doesn't feel like a rejection. It just feels like we'll get there, right?
Absolutely. But by that same token, we're not going to win everybody either.
Right, right.
And there are a couple of people just within my own kingdom who I know are lost causes, right? Who I know nothing I say is ever going to get to them.
And it's totally 100% valid to say those people will never come with us. And then we don't have to care about their rejection because they're not on that journey with us. They're not coming down the canoe of life going towards that same goal. They've gone off and they are on land somewhere doing some nonsense. They're not going towards the same goal we are of heading down this river of life towards a diverse and inclusive place.
Right, exactly. We win some, we lose some.
Yeah.
But
But retraining your brain does help like soften that blow.
absolutely. So my last point, because we've got about 15 minutes left. Dear God, how did I talk for 45 minutes already? I'm so sorry. Um,
What are you
my
sorry
last
about? It's
point
great.
is remembering what brings you joy in the SCA. Because it is really, really easy to feel hopeless. And it is really, really easy to feel slogged down by the enormity of what we're doing, right? Because the SCA has been around for 50 years, and some of these things are super, super ingrained into the cultural fabric of the SCA. And we are in there with a seam ripper, very carefully undoing seams and resewing things and trying to patch things and mend things and undo all the harm that's been done while building new infrastructure and new support and new systems to make things better. And this work is exhausting, right? Because it's exhausting in the real world too, right? Like, this isn't just an SCA wide problem. How do we combat racism and ableism and classism and religious intolerance? And how do we combat all of that? And there's such enormous things, right? And we're trying so hard to make the SCA more inclusive and diverse and equitable. And we're fighting a really hard battle. And there are days when it's exhausting. But I know for me, I joined the SCA when I was 18, and I'm going to be 35 on Tuesday. The SCA is my home, right? I've been playing for years, and I have volunteered countless hours of my time to making sure that it functions because I love it, right? That's why I'm a protege, and that's why I do things. That's why I volunteer, is because I love the SCA. I love everything that it represents. I want so much for other people like me, queer, trans, disabled, people of color, people of different religions. I want people to be able to find their home here the way that I have, because we can be that. We have the potential to be that, to be a community of learning and fellowship and kindness. And that's what I want for the SCA, and that's what we all want for the SCA. Because if you're here, obviously you care about making the SCA more DEIB, right?
Volk has their hand up.
Yes, Volk, please stop me from crying.
One, you're awesome. So excellent. Happy birthday. You don't look a day over 20.
God.
Seriously. I'm my daughter, who is much wiser than I, says that life is a rich tapestry, and the SCA is no different. And so it's trying to, yeah, we're we're taking this tapestry. Your analogy is spot on, and we're mending it. We're working it. And you're right. Even though I haven't been in, I'm barely closing in on 20. It's a family. You're right. And I, like you, I want everybody who enters into this to feel the way I feel, the way you feel. I know it's not always going to happen. I know uh, things will happen that we have no control over, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the experience. I know I'm going to do everything I can as a privileged old white man to do everything I can so that everybody who I encounter can understand the experience that I feel with the SCA.
Absolutely. No, and that's we have so much potential, and we have the community. We already, I mean, everybody I talk to,
I mean, your
the
community's
SCA has
literally
been
here
their
watching
family.
you and helping you. The Trimaris watch party is in here going, "We love you," and your community's literally here watching you do this.
Exactly. Exactly. And we have the potential to be that for so many people. I know I'm not the only one. And we have, again, Clan Blue Feather, and the we we have these communities already here within the SCA. And part of doing the doing the work is remembering what we're doing it for, right? And not just to the community, but like, what brings you joy in the SCA, right? I I'm the nerd among nerds. I'm a herald, right? I'm one of those pedantic, pretentious book people. If you don't know, heralds really are the nerds among nerds. They are spicy special. But is it art sci? Is it fighting? What is it in the SCA that brings you joy? Like, cling to that and remember that part of why we're doing this too. Are you, because focusing on that and making that aspect of what we do more inclusive and more diverse, even if you can only touch your local group or, you know, the small event that you're running, if that's the only place that you can make things more inclusive and better, that's okay, because that's still making it better, right? And every little piece that gets repaired matters. Every act of kindness and every act of inclusion and welcoming, no matter how small, makes the SCA better and makes the world better, because the SCA is part of the world, and you're making people's lives better by doing this. So at the end of the day, that's huge, right? So those are my tips. We've got about 8 minutes left. I want to open it up to questions, comments, concerns. You can throw rotten tomatoes at me through Discord, through Zoom. That's fine. So I hope you all
Heralds
enjoyed.
are nerds amongst nerds, what are court heralds? Because are we the musical theater nerds of the nerds?
We really
Yeah.
are, and that is, court heraldry is like my super special niche of heraldry.
No,
Like,
I know that's
I'm
how
an
we know each
okay.
other, sort of. Like it's herald speak, right?
So I heralder,
Heralds. Yeah.
man. If you ever want to like hurt your brain, log on to Oscar, the Herald's like commentary
Yeah.
website, and your brain will be gone.
Yep. Yep, it will be.
Some of us who are scribes go on there regularly.
Scribes are amazing. I love scribes. You all are just remarkable and amazing, and you make the world better. Also, thank you to everyone for the birthday wishes. That was very sweet.
Oh, Mia's making a note that she has to come nerd out with you and I on court heraldry, Calpurnia.
Yes, I will nerd out about court heraldry with anybody. I teach a bunch of court heraldry classes. I'm currently Trimaris's official Kingdom Court Herald. So
Mhm.
I love voice heraldry. It's my favorite.
I love voice. I do a lot more field than voice these days, but I was Golden Rose, which is the royal's personal chosen voice herald for Kaid a number of times, and it was some of the best times of my life. And I was also Flame for Starcoffin, which is the territorial, but they also do most of the voice work for Starcoffin for
Yep.
like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's the small kind of rural barony. Officer turnover is difficult sometimes. I say rural like Vegas
I
isn't a
was
giant city, but
I was I've also been I've been a deputy to the Triskel Herald, our Kingdom Herald, for years. I was their secretary for 7 years,
Mhm.
I think it was. Um,
yeah,
so I was in charge of sending out all of the congratulations, your name passed letters. Did
yeah.
that forever.
Being Golden Rose was so much fun, and getting to do new things heraldically and write new ceremonies and just have more theater with it was
Now Harold's gonna herald. You
oh
put us in a room and we're done.
yeah.
Oh
Sorry,
yeah.
Bill.
Yeah, like when we did Gita's when we did Gita's elevation, writing her totally Norse style elevation with Neri was one of the biggest joys of my life. And getting to write those kennings about each individual person and like personalize it so much to Gita's elevation was just like, I love this. I want to do all of this all of the time.
I will say that some part of so much like why court heraldry is so much fun is like all of the ridiculous things you can do,
hmm
like announcing people. like my absolute favorite that I can't take the credit for it. It wasn't me. My
We
friend
probably should just end
Ephraim.
the recording and geek out. Tefania's right.